Welcome, fans, to another live edition of the Shooting from the Hip podcast. Remembering Kevin Sullivan is the topic today, amongst a few others. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and I'm joined, as always, by the man known as the King of the Streets, the reigning and defending Great North Wrestling hardcore champion. That would be the Kingpin Angel Medina with the title right there, still champ. How are you today, sir?
Oh, are we live? Because you just to the fans, you just told me like, hey, once the show starts, we're gonna go live. So once I start talking,
that's right.
You know,
when I
just
start
let you
talking,
know.
we're live again. That's how she goes.
He knows I got CTE, so I'm gonna forget or something, But life is good. Life is great. I haven't spoken to you for a while. Ever since I won the title, you've been running around this, Canada, showing the gold, and not even contacting your main guy, But I know you're a busy man, making that Canadian money, living the life,
Oh yeah. Well, summer in my government business is quite busy. We're always down people working double, triple shots, but that's my problem. We're here today to recognize the passing just a couple of days ago of Kevin Sullivan, known as the Prince of Darkness, the Devil, the Taskmaster, the Games Master. A lot of people don't remember the Games Master name attached to when he was the manager of the varsity club. And we both have personal experiences with Kevin to discuss. I've got some memories that I'll lay out here that I personally won't ever forget, and I'm sure the fans will find entertaining. But I think what struck me about his passing was there goes another one of the greats in terms of that wrestling knowledge, that link to the past when it was a completely different product. And we're going to get into all of that in a minute. But Kingpin, while I have you here, one of the most popular aspects of this show is when unprepared, unscripted, as the title says, shooting from the hip. Let me see if I can point. Shooting from the hip. I'm going to hit you with some headlines, some news, and get your opinion on those, and talk about some of the things that we're looking at for the fall with Great North Wrestling. But the first one of those internet stories that's floating around, I'm sure if you've been on Facebook or X or whatever your platform is, you're seeing these strong rumors about the McMahons coming in to purchase. Well, there's actually two stories: the McMahons purchasing AEW, or Shane McMahon coming in some capacity that hasn't been discussed. What do you think of that frivolity that's out there?
From my opinion, the meeting between Shane McMahon and Tony Khan was pretty interesting. I could see like him coming into the company, but I think it's more of a shock value in regards to like, I brought in a McMahon to assist me in making AEW great again, type of thing. Because what would be the reason, for him to go, but to prove that Shane McMahon can run a company without his dad's backing, that's a good angle, him saying that I could do better than what my dad has accomplished, which is pretty a high bar to reach. But I think that's a thing that they might work. But I don't think Vince has too much on his plate in regards to what's going on in the issues of this, not sex scandal, but the controversy that he's having right now. I don't think he's going to be involved in any type of buying AEW. I just think more Shane is going to be involved in a big role, like almost like a Triple H angle, and to try to promote the company as like a WWE takeover type of thing, But like I said, Sun is just trying to prove, not saying trying to prove a point, but I bet you that's just what they're going to be working on. I could do better than my dad. I can make this company bigger than my dad's company.
Well, and say what you want about Shane, and I know his last foray into the WWE with the the booking allegedly of the Royal Rumble, and then making himself as a fellow 50-year-old the center of that particular pay-per-view. That's left a bad taste in some people's mouths. But my goodness, if Tony would actually listen to someone to help him out, I think he would be invaluable both as
Well,
an on-screen character and behind the curtain.
well, let me ask you a question, and this is just something that I'm just trying to wonder. You say it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Can you explain that so I can roll off that with my idea?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. It didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. But
No, no, to the other people's mouth. That's what I mean, not
okay,
your mouth. That's
what
what I'm
I
saying.
what I read at the time was that he came in and basically took control of the creative and went wild with the booking. Didn't really specify what that was, and then of course he came down to the ring and participated in the Royal Rumble and looked like a bit of a world beater. So some of the experts and pundits online are saying that he really turned off a lot of folks in the locker room, and he's carrying some negative baggage with him with respect to that. I don't really see that as a real bona fide consideration if indeed he does end up signing a deal with Mr. Khan. Did you see that alleged picture of him meeting with Tony too?
Yeah, yeah, I did. But to go off what you were saying in regards to about putting a bad taste in people's mouth. Hey, he's the son of the owner of the company. He could come in and start fucking kicking tables over it's his house. Yeah, they're the guest. Even though if you rent if you renting from him, and that's what I'm saying. He could come in and do whatever he wants. He is the son of the owner. So if he's changing things up or he's doing things that is out of the ordinary, they have no say. They can't get mad. It's his father's company. He is the legacy. So I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm looking at it. Why are you getting so butthurt? Because one of the owners are coming in and doing whatever the fuck he wants. It's like owning a restaurant. Just because you don't see the owner, and you work at a restaurant and he comes in and starts going in the refrigerator, eating sandwiches, pouring himself his own drinks. Are you going to get butthurt? Like, who the fuck is he to come in and start doing all this stuff? That's what I'm saying. Like, how are you going to get butthurt? You have no stake in the company. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So that's why, in this business, people are just acting like when The Rock walks through the door and The Rock does something and people go, oh, he has heat. Well, fuck you. I'm the one that started this company. I'm the one who made SmackDown. I'm the one, it's not an ego thing, but don't think that, you are nobody. You're here. I'm here and you're here. And it'll take it, no matter how many years you go up, I will always be ahead of you. So you should show respect to the game. And I'm not coming in as a dick, but if there's something I feel that I don't want to do, or I voice my opinion and you get all butthurt about it, I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. You don't matter. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one, like the song says, So that's why I'm trying to understand that,
Yeah, it seemed to me to be a little petty, but I think as far as on screen, is he going to make an impact? Obviously, he will. It's a question of diminishing returns, like all the people that they end up signing for some reason there. But if he can get inside Mr. Khan's head and give him some kind of role creatively or whatnot, I think it would be only better. Sean here saying Vince did Shane bogus by not letting him run the grandfather biz instead
The
of
what?
well, there's again information out there online through various interviews from other sources that Shane was passed over for running the company in favor of Stephanie, and then of course Triple H. For whatever reason, there was heat allegedly again between Vince and Shane. So who knows whether it's conjecture or fact.
Well, the problem is when you have siblings, it's just like any movie or any type of inheritance, the daughter or the son is like, how come I only got $60,000 or $60 million and my sister got $90 million? Why is she getting, I'm the oldest, I mean, the stories about Shane, great guy, met him, nice guy. But sometimes Vince will get upset about things that he did, and he's like, okay, well, we're not doing that, so I'm gonna let Stephanie do it.
Mhm.
I mean, Vince got, I think, 3 kids. One doesn't want to be in the limelight, so it's kind of like almost like the Osbournes. One of them just didn't want to be involved, and you never realized there was another one. And then the other thing is, you get butthurt again, when you go Stephanie and Triple H, and you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is Triple H? He has nothing to do with it just because he's the son-in-law. Why should he get control of the company? Regardless of how many years he's been in the business, it's a family-owned business, so it should go to family, even though he's the son-in-law.
Speaking of which, you just tweaked something in my brain here. I was noticing that Bobby Lashley is now a free agent, as is MVP. And MVP, I don't know if you've met him or not. I did.
No,
Nice guy.
no, I don't think I did.
He during the course of an interview made a comment that basically Triple H's, which is interesting because he's rather in the wilderness on that one. He made a comment that Triple H's booking, etc., was not as good as as Vince's, and seemed to signal that there was some internal discontent in there, which I'd never heard before. Everybody's talking about look at last WrestleMania, the Triple H era, blah blah blah. So, do you think either of those two chaps will end up in AEW? I'm personally a huge fan of both of them, including Lashley. And even though Lashley's 46 or whatever, my God,
still looks good.
He looks like $1 million. There's lots of gas left in that tank, but they're also talking about maybe him going back to fighting.
Well, the thing is that, AEW, okay, I hate saying this, but AEW got too many heads. And for him to go into AEW for a couple of weeks, when I say a couple of weeks, meaning like, how sometimes these guys come in and they fucking like, oh, they push the shit out of like, oh my God, Banks. Now she's what's she called? Monet?
Mercedes Monet.
Yeah. So, and then all of a sudden she comes in and she's hot, and then they're not using her. So if you're in there, go ahead.
I was going to say, with respect to her, I think she's exposed. I think her downsides or her weaknesses are so pronounced. The WWE did an amazing job emphasizing her positives, and because she's horrendous on the mic. And honestly, I really never saw much of in terms of her in-ring work that made me go, wow, that's a real talent. But again, I get what you're saying. Big debut, and then because you're right, the roster is so packed, fade off into the woodwork.
And that's what I'm saying. The thing is, I'm using her as an example. She's there. She faded off. I'm not saying she's gone, but she's making a big paycheck. So if you're there to make a big paycheck and not work, just a limited role, then yeah, I could see Bobby Lashley doing it, because they push the shit out of you in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, like, hey, what the fuck is Bobby Lashley? So I see that happening. If he just wants to just work because he has money, then he can go to TNA and just work and make a decent paycheck, and then that's it. So
yeah, that's what Sean just pointed out here. He said Lashley said he'd go back to TNA. That would be an interesting choice for sure. He had an excellent run there too, don't you think?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter anymore, man. Once you get to that point when you have money, I don't give a fuck where I go, because you're rich. I'm not saying he's rich, but I'm saying, I don't know his financial status. But once you get to that level of cash flow that you don't really need the business to survive, and
like
you're just
Kingpin money, for example.
Oh yeah, Kingpin money is flowing out of my ass like a fucking slot machine. But that's the thing. I'm just saying that if he's just going to TNA just to keep himself relevant in the business so he can do indies and stuff and do autograph signings, yeah, he's going to make tons of money. But your mindset changes once you're at that level. It's just like a comedian who's starving comedian, that old philosophy, the starving comedian. You're funny because you have nothing, you don't have a pot to piss in. But then when you like become the Eddie Murphy and you're not hungry anymore, it's just like a boxer. You're hungry, but then when you become champion, you're a millionaire, you lose that hunger. So it's the same thing. Once you get to the level of financial freedom, I could just see Bobby Lashley like, yeah, man, I'll wrestle. It'd be fun. I don't care if I put somebody over. Yeah, and I was going to say that he's doing that Bloodsport Bushido thing, which, ain't that the shit fucking the WWE underground bullshit?
Oh, what was that called? Raw. The fans will know, but Raw After Dark or something with Shane when they had that gimmicked Fight Club thing.
Yeah, so
Did you ever watch that? It
yeah,
wasn't.
a little
It
bit.
wasn't around very long, was it?
No, yeah, it was just it wasn't it was around long enough. It's like ECW, you know.
Mhm. Well, anyway, that's going to be a very very interesting situation to watch, and unfortunately, I think that time is proving that they can bring in whoever. If they don't have their creative house in order, then it's only going to be a law of diminishing returns, I'm afraid. What about the other big story of the week in terms of Jesse Ventura returning to WWE? Did you catch
I only
his
saw clips of it. I didn't see the actual him coming there. I didn't even know. Did he do commentary and stuff?
No, but sorry, I don't know whether he's signed for that a deal. There's rumors again that he's going to have some kind of role in the company. Not sure what it is, but what struck me about Jesse was for all his millions, he kind of looked homeless when he showed up there. Do you see
Oh
that old
yeah,
T-shirt and he had the wrestler fanny pack and everything?
no, absolutely. I mean, when I saw that, I'm just like, you know, he looks humble, homely. That was gonna say humble, but yeah. I mean, he's Jesse, man. I mean, he don't care. I mean, I think he's in a point in his life where he just doesn't care. You know.
No, I thought it was an interesting fashion choice, but definitely a fan of. My goodness, what a commentary guy back in the day. The man that really revolutionized the whole heel. I mean, there were heel commentators before, like Piper in Georgia, but my goodness, did he ever leave his mark in that role? Always a fan. He's gotten a little off the path in recent years, I think, with some of the niche stuff he's been doing, niche in terms of the conspiracy stuff, but I'm sure he could contribute in some capacity, but we'll have to wait and see if that turns out. Were you a fan of the body with Gorilla and the Saturday Night Main Event
Oh yeah,
commentaries?
absolutely. Jesse the Body Ventura's interview skills and commentary was classic. You know, I mean, there's only certain people that you could just like the Gordon Solis and the Jesse the Body and Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, Jerry Lawler and you know,
Lance Russell.
Lance Russell and you
Mhm.
know JR and stuff. So I mean, there's a combination of people that you know mesh well to play off each other. And then you know Jesse the Body Ventura was just funny, man. I mean, he was just funny, and with Gorilla as his, not saying sidekick or just collaborating with him, it was hysterical. So yeah, I loved it. It was especially with a Saturday Night Main Event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the main
And
event. It was yeah, it was just awesome, you know. So, you know, yeah, Jesse had a good chops back then.
yeah, absolutely. I would say one of his most memorable lines, classic lines, was when he said something to McMahon about it's only cheating when you get caught, McMahon, and I've carried that forward for many years.
Well,
Now,
that's why you're divorced 3 times.
no, I'm not Rick. I'm not Rick. Not Rick. Thank God. In terms of other local, well, not local, but Canadian news, did you see that your friend Scott Demore from TNA fame is starting his own company? There we go again. You I caught the hair, so I knew it was coming this time. But Scott Demore has started his own company up here again, not Border City Wrestling this time, but he's taken the name, the classic name of Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and going to be starting some shows with I look like some former TNA talent up here. What do you think of the chances of another company with some some juice behind, at least creatively? I've always thought he did a good job with TNA, especially the years that he was with Team Canada, and then as he transitioned into the office. What do you think the chances are for that company to get a piece of this very diluted market?
Well, I mean, I mean, Canada right now, I mean, is an untapped market of having to have like a major company out there to keep other wrestlers active. I think Scott Demore can definitely do something if he keeps it, don't blow his wad, all of a sudden just take it gradually, build it up, build it up, build it up. But I think he could definitely corner the market in Canada in regards to having, just like Puerto Rico having his own, organization, and nothing else exists, besides World Carlos's company, and I don't know the other companies anymore. But at the time when I was there, it was IWA and Carlos, and then there was
WWC, right?
huh?
WWC.
Yeah, WWC, Carlos's company, and IWA with Victor, and then of course you had your little independent companies out there. So yeah, man, they were big stars. Savio Vega, Carlito, even though they're big stars in the States, but then they became the big stars of Puerto Rico. So yeah, Hurricane Castillo, all those guys, and Chiqui Star. I mean, that's a funny thing. Look at Chiqui Star. I mean, from the years that I know Chicky Star, from being a fan all the way to as a grown up working with him in IWA, you know, um, I don't think he's ever left Puerto Rico, besides maybe doing a couple runs, maybe in WWF at the time, maybe did some matches here and there. But his claim to fame is Puerto Rico. He is God. So the same thing with Canada. If you could just build a company out there and build their talent to become the God of Canada, and let's say they don't make anything out of it in the United States, but when you go to Canada, that motherfucker's name is fucking, you know, can't walk around without saying his name, like the Hulk Hogan of Canada. So, I mean,
Mhm.
Jacques Rougeau is like that, I guess, I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
so
He's all
same
over the
thing.
place too. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if you build a company, I can see him there. You build it up, and put a name to the company, like Jacques Rougeau, or some other high name talents. Then you can make something of it.
Well, yeah, and I think it's good to have another company for folks to get some work. I think the independent wrestling in at least up here and in certain parts of the United States is suffering by the fact that AEW came into existence, and so many top talents are locked up in there. And even though they said originally that their folks could work independence, it hasn't turned out that way. So we'll see. That's what I mean by an ever increasing decreasing slice of the pie. There's only so much talent to go around that actually draws. Not the great folks that are working on the indies, building their names up or whatever. And there's some fabulous talent out there that hit that category, but folks that are going to actually sell tickets, they're at a premium. Last,
And before we go, the funny thing is like this: when you look at baseball, hockey, boxing, everybody thinks that you have to make it in the U.S. But there's some guys who go to like Japan and become stars. There's one of the famous basketball players was NBA. He was great in the NBA here, but when he went to China, he became the Michael Jordan of China. And what I'm saying, you can make a name for yourself in other places and become financially set. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if Scott D'Amore starts this company and does it the right way, and I'm not saying he's gonna do it the wrong way, then he can make major Canadian stars that don't even have to step foot in the United States and just live a great life, living that dream. You know what I mean?
as long as he has some kind of TV deal, and I haven't, maybe I've missed that, or maybe that's still in development. But he's going to need. It's one thing to run great shows and develop a loyal fan base, but it's another to be on a network or some kind of streaming service that's readily accessible.
And I don't even know the rules of, like, I mean, I don't know your channels out there. I don't know if you have public access where, like almost like when ECW were like on late on MSG, stuff like that. I don't know if Canada has some type of, channel where you could be like, oh man, I could talk to them and they could put us on. But of course our show will run at 2 a.m. compared to other shows. So yeah, that's something, I'm not familiar with.
Well, absolutely something to keep an eye on. The last thing I wanted to mention was what are what is your take? And this isn't to do with wrestling, but what is your take on this frickin' Olympics? Did you see in addition to the opening ceremony that was controversial to say the least? Did you see the breakdancing?
It was
Did you
horrible.
catch any of that?
I saw some clips. It's like the shits.
Like,
I don't, I don't
who
know
was
why.
behind making that an Olympic sport?
No, I mean, there's some great breakdancers around the world, but what I saw, it was a female, and not because she's a female. I was like, that don't look great, like saying you want to get the top talents, to do that. So I really don't know who came up with the idea, who picked the individuals to be representatives for their country for breakdancing. I just think it was not that great. I was just like, I couldn't even watch it. Like I said, I saw the clips and I'm like, this is horrible. And then somebody posted on Facebook, just comedy clips in regards to that because it was that horrible. So yeah, this Olympics is kind of weird. People are just so sensitive in regards to like the opening ceremony, which was bogus. The fucking dudes fighting chicks, lighting them up, just lumping them up, bro, for gold, and I'm like, oh, because they're XY chroma. Get the fuck out of here. It's a fucking dude. I don't give a fuck how you put it. I don't give a fuck if I get censored, or all that bullshit. But the thing is, those are dudes beating up on women. Why would you be proud to get the gold for ass whooping? If that's the case, we can go anywhere in the United States and watch men beat on women, and then instead of arresting them, we'll just give them a gold medal. For man, you fucked her up. But I don't know, man. It was just horrible.
I just I no disrespect to breakdancing or any of the folks that ply their trade there, but man, if that woman is from Australia and apparently she's got a PhD in breakdancing,
Yeah, I heard.
I'm like, if this is going to be the example, I can't see it laying on the schedule for next year. It was bad. It reminds me of some of the stuff I did in university when I was loaded.
Well, I'm just saying, like, she has a PhD in breakdancing, but doesn't mean she has she could know the history of breakdancing. She could know all the players in breakdancing. She can say when it was founded, where, who was the first breakdancer. Just because she has a PhD in breakdancing doesn't mean she could breakdance. Just because I could know, jokingly, like, Canadian history doesn't make me a Canadian. You know what I mean? I got a PhD in Canadian philosophy and Canadian history. Doesn't mean I'm Canadian. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't make you an athlete, does it? To have the academic background. But anyway, yeah, I saw that and I thought, wow, this may add some fuel to the fire to add pro wrestling to the Olympics. Are you familiar with that argument from a couple years past?
Which one?
Where there was a suggestion that pro wrestling could be added to the Olympics.
No, I never heard that.
That would work, but. Never heard that? Yeah.
No, never heard that one.
Actually, people seriously putting that forward. So anyway, haven't watched much of it, but that kind of jumped out to me as entertaining anyway. But let's move on to the passing of Kevin Sullivan. He was ill for a while. Apparently he had an incident a couple of months ago and was in the hospital. I won't go through chapter and verse of his career because I think anybody watching this podcast is aware of some of the highlights of Sullivan's career, both as an active talent and then transitioned to book WCW in the most successful period, and was responsible, according to not only interviews with himself but others, for convincing Hogan to turn heel at that Bash of the Beach in '96, and that of course changed the course of wrestling history. But the tributes have poured in throughout the wrestling world, including this one from Taz, who said that he feels bad about the passing of Kevin Sullivan, the devil of pro wrestling. He really helped him in his career, and that was before he and Kevin were tag team champions in ECW. I know that was an era of ECW before you were there, but you've met the man and had at least a conversation with him. I'll ask you to share that before I get into my weekend with Sullivan that I spent about a year and a half ago.
Well, I mean, I met Kevin at Extreme Risings during that ECW resurgence with Shane Douglas, and Luke Hawks was there, and Stevie Richards was there, and I met Kevin, most nice guy. I mean, even though it was like a maybe 20-second to 30-second conversation, I was just telling him I appreciated him, for helping me make a decision of becoming a pro wrestler. Because, like I said, I watch wrestling, NWA, the Varsity Club, so, him stomping on people's stomach. And, it was pretty, he was influential in my decisions. I mean, there was other people, but he was one of them. And I just told him, I'm not trying to mark out. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I just want to say thank you for, doing what he did on TV to make me choose a career path.
Mm-hmm. If you think back on his character in Florida, which was, to say the least, revolutionary. I think some of the first exposure that I had to Kevin Sullivan was in some of the wrestling magazines where you saw this quasi Satanist character, and of course he had Nancy with him, and Mark Lewin, the Purple Haze, amongst others, Luna Vachon. Mm-hmm. That was some of the, you could look at that and that presentation and think, wow, this guy's a real dangerous dude. He was believable as a crazy kind of evil, malevolent character, and he had a pretty successful run in other territories as a baby face. And then when he turned on Steve Keirn in Florida and became that character, that was definitely something that stands out in my mind. And then we fast forward, past his feud with Dusty in Florida that I talked to him about, but into WCW when he came in as that manager of the Varsity Club. That was another attention getting highlight of Jim Crockett Promotions towards the end there, when their business wasn't so good. But I think for the purpose of linkage to history, the salient feature here and how I got involved with Mr. Sullivan was from his tenure as being the leader of that Dungeon of Doom angle and stable that were set up to throw heels at Hogan like a bowling pin, and it got some heat at the time as being overly cartoonish or whatever. But I think with the passage of history, it's I got a message here from Hannibal saying, please share your story of how comfortable Kevin was being naked around you. And yes, I will get into that.
Was he laying next to you in bed?
No, there was none of that stuff. I'll just clear.
No tickle the pickle.
No, we'll clear the context. The context up there. And Morris Shorthall of the Cheap Heat Productions Pro Wrestling Podcast is checking in. He's saying evening from Ireland. He's saying R.I.P. Kevin. He was just at a. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Reese, you don't even say hi to me anymore. He does like, oh, I don't have black friends, so I don't talk to these.
Who says that, Morris?
Maurice.
Anyway, he was just at talk about a hot commodity. Ireland and Irish pro wrestling is huge, and he was just at a event, their WrestleMania called Scrapper Mania, where Nick Namath was there, and apparently Mr. JD McDonough and Finn Balor will be making an appearance at one of their next events. Apparently just a huge crowd and a great event. I'm sure he'll talk about that on his show. So interesting that that little island is producing such great talent, and the independent scene there is just on fire. Reminds me of Canada a number of decades ago. But back to the Dungeon of Doom, that stable, as Hannibal is contributing here, says the Dungeon of Doom was over. Absolutely. Hannibal, actually, you don't think so?
I didn't like it, and then nothing against him. I was never feeling that Dungeons of Doom gimmick. Like I said, I was young, and it just didn't grab me. Yeah, was it part of the storyline? Yeah, but it was. I think wasn't the Dungeon of Dreams part of Abdullah the Butcher's freaking electrocution gimmick at
No, no,
Halloween Havoc?
no. That was before. The Dungeon of Doom was
No, I
Curtis
know with Ming,
Ayakea,
with Ming and all them.
Kamala, uh,
Yeah.
Ed Leslie, and a couple of gimmicks. John Tenta, probably forgetting somebody else. Jimmy Hart was in and out there, but Mr. Sullivan actually was one of the folks that mentored Hannibal in his career and was managing the Blood Hunter. Actually, the very last talent that Kevin Sullivan managed was the Blood Hunter, including a very successful run in Texas. He was behind. I believe the company was called Southwest Fury. Anyway, they were doing great guns, great shows. They were on the precipice of breaking out, and Sullivan was involved in the creative there, in addition to managing the Blood Hunter. So
Yeah.
when we were putting together, oh, here we go. Hannibal says he's got it all. Shark, Kamala, One Man Gang, forgot about that. Big Van Vader had a cup of coffee. Faces of Fear, Giant. I didn't know Lex Luger was in the dungeon. Wow.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not knocking it. It's just, again, I wasn't feeling it. Would I watch it? Yeah, but it was just something I wasn't feeling compared to other stables. So, not saying it was a bunch of talented dudes. It's just, as a kid, I didn't gravitate towards the Dungeons of Doom.
So based on his managing of the Blood Hunter in those promotions, he also, I believe he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but he also managed them for PC Ultra Wrestling in Los Angeles, another company that was really putting on some big shows. I got in touch with Kevin to come in for the big 15th anniversary Great North Wrestling show, which occurred May 6th last year. There he is on the poster next to Blood Hunter. And he came in.
Was that when he was naked with you?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, making sure.
You seem to be fixated on that particular.
I am fixated because I want to know the story. I want to know what happened. I mean, you're still traumatized from it, so I need to know.
Well, nakedness is a double-edged sword at times.
Was he circumcised?
Okay. Out of respect, I'm going to leave that detail out. But wow, there goes my train of thought. Very good. So he was coming in to manage the Blood Hunter, and in fact, managed the Blood Hunter in his last managing endeavor against Cowboy James Storm in the main event. That match, if you haven't seen it, check it out on the HannibalTV.com. Brutal match, and Sullivan was involved in the finish, and actually, for the purpose of that show, was involved in helping me out with a number of finishes and angles and smoothing some. We had a couple of, one talent in particular that was a bit of a diva and didn't really want to work with the plan, and Kevin was instrumental in sorting that match out, and just loved his fans. He spent an inordinate amount of time out signing autographs, interacting with the people. But the deal is, at that time, he was living in Washington State and lived on an island, and he had to take a ferry over to the mainland to catch, I believe it was Seattle, to catch a flight into Ottawa. And this was about 18 hours of travel. So I picked Kevin up at the Ottawa airport at about midnight. And the first thing that struck me was how, he was in his 70s, but you could tell that the business took its toll on him physically. And nobody likes a flight like that where you're laid over and it's a lot of travel. But the man was in a lot of pain. But despite that, he was looking for an American-only tobacco product, and we spent about 2 hours driving around Ottawa looking for this tobacco product that we couldn't find, but we found finally a substitute. Went back to the hotel, and it was an interesting hotel because it had a kitchen and a common area and then 2 bedrooms. And we sat up for about I took the opportunity to pick his brain, discussing not only the card but all the things that he did historically. And Benoit came up, and he really liked Benoit as a talent and gave him that push in WCW. But then, the bit about booking the own divorce that we've all heard about, etc. He said that wasn't true. He hadn't been living with Nancy for a number of months, and it wasn't that good. And then we talked about some of the people that believe, and I saw this after his passing too, and I just don't understand why people would put a theory like that out there. And it's definitely a conspiracy theory that he was behind the Benoit murder suicide. Have you seen that garbage?
Which
online?
one?
That it was actually Kevin Sullivan that killed Chris Benoit and
Nancy, I heard about that.
And the child. Yeah. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I heard all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I really don't. I mean, like I said, it's just rumor, conspiracy. I mean, yeah, it sucks that your friend, is with your ex-wife or girlfriend or whatever. But yeah, I heard the rumor about the conspiracy about he was involved in that, but I don't know.
Well, he understood where it came from, but just goes to show how his character as this evil, satanic kind of Prince of Darkness deal was over. That people would even put that forward with a straight face. But he also talked about how in Florida, when he was pioneering the evil character, he never once referred to Satan. He called he used a Pacific entity, Mujahideen, I believe was the name that he used, and people just drew their own conclusions. So anyway, very interesting few hours I got to spend with him there. Then went to bed. I was up. I had about 2 hours worth of sleep that particular night. I was out in the kitchen in the morning doing some prep for the show, and unannounced, Kevin came out of his room, and he was completely naked.
Did he have the robe and the hood on, like it was open?
No, no. It was evidently Kevin Sullivan slept in the nude, and he proceeded to have about a 3-minute discussion with me, both in terms of logistics for getting him to the show, but then we were struggling with a particular match and a finish, and he said that it came to him. He figured it out overnight, and he laid that all out for me. All the while,
yeah, he laid it all out.
You're a sick man. Naked as a jaybird, and he never had any.
It's like, is it worse than naked Midian?
Midian wasn't exactly completely naked.
I know, but he still looked horrible.
It was it was a question of where do I look, and it seemed it didn't bother him, and again, to his credit, that evening he really helped with. I lost Kingpin. Anyway, I'll finish the story. He really helped with the finish and the general creative. So that was a story that I told others after the event, and that's one of those things that not many people can say.
Me out? You really kicked me out?
No, you I guess exited yourself.
I didn't. I'm on the other screen doing something. I was typing to,
Well, it's live StreamYard, and when it works well. When it doesn't, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But just in terms of that, not many people can, that weren't in a locker room setting, I'm sure, can say that they were privy to booking advice from Kevin Sullivan when he was naked. So again, that's something that you don't forget. But what what also struck me, as I said, was the amount of pain he was in, and I couldn't imagine at his age then, what, 70, 72 or 4, depending on um, what age you find him to be or think he is.
But you
He
know,
was,
it's funny. No, go ahead, man. Finish.
oh, I was just going to say, extremely difficult to do that kind of traveling, and the pain that he was in after X number of years in the ring, etc.
You know, and the thing I was just gonna say is like I felt bad, you know, because I mean, I didn't know because somebody was putting stuff like on GoFundMe for him to help him out with financial expenses, and you know, and you think about like guys who you admire through the years, and you think that, oh man, this guy is financially set, and you know, and you think about that, and then when you find out like, hey, he needs help with GoFundMe, you're like, I thought he was loaded, you know, because I mean, he's traveled all around the world, he's been on every major company. And I really felt bad when I noticed that he was, you know, somebody did a GoFundMe for him, but it really just like, was he broke or, you know, was he living paycheck to paycheck supposedly, you know? And that's my concern about in wrestling, man. When you have people that you admired, you know, from the Snookers to the, you know, Sullivans to the Hercules Hernandez, you know, and you find out that they have no money, you know, and you wonder like, what happened to all that financial cash?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, another aspect of Kevin that I found amusing at the
Hmm.
time, or um, infuriating at the time, was for those fans that don't know, you when you contact and contract a talent to come in, a star, independent wise, you pay their booking fee and then their trans, and then the rest of it is basically up to the individual.
Hmm.
And from the moment I picked him up till the moment he went back, there were a lot of well, let's say, unagreed upon expenses that me as the promoter ended up picking up. And
Hmm.
it was interesting because he didn't have the Apple Pay gimmick like you did, and he was telling me that his American credentials and cards won't work in Canada. So I ended up getting an extra hotel and some meals and stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, he definitely gave it his all. We were going to have him back for the next show last year, which was going to
Hmm.
be in Sioux Falls, but that didn't work out due to a number of reasons. So I definitely cherish the fact that I spent several hours with him that night, picking his brain and hearing about. He always talked about, and this is true with me. And if you hear Meltzer uh, talking about him since his passing, he always really admired Eddie Graham. And when we were talking, he credited Eddie Graham with basically, teaching him how to book, and being such an impression on him, given the fact that he really got his first kind of major break in Florida under
Hmm.
Eddie's tutelage. It was interesting to hear all those old stories as a student of the business. But again, another guy who's gone that could have to this day been helping out Mr. Tony Khan.
Yeah, I mean, they had you know, Kevin Sullivan had a plethora of knowledge, a plethora of experience to help out any company if they used them correctly. Um, I just, like I said, I really feel bad that, you know, this legend has not been utilized to his full potential, you know, in today's wrestling time. He lived on an island. Yeah, I think what was he living in Oregon or something, Seattle or
I thought it was Washington State, and
something like that.
he told me he had to get up really early, get the ferry, and actually fly out of Seattle. So it was about an 18-hour affair. Oh, and Hannibal is reminding me of the fact that he was also on a first class flight for that show that he didn't mention he needed until after he was booked. Ah, yes. So these are some of the how do I put this? Some of the quirks that especially the old time wrestling folks. I'm learning as I go, and I've got one hell of a teacher and a partner in Hannibal to point things out. But these are one of the things.
Hannibal has a lot of knowledge, man. I mean, the guy knows his shit.
One of the things that I'm learning is some of these guys will, and actually you said this too after a recent not so pleasant experience dealing with another old time star, that some will take it upon themselves to try and squeeze as much cash out of a promoter as possible. And Sullivan, to his credit, did that. But he was such a likable guy that I never really got mad at him. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But it certainly is something that you have to watch out for. I think as a promoter, all the extra expenses and a lot of these guys, especially the older ones, as we also recently experienced, want to deal everything verbally, and you got to lay it out chapter and verse and writing. Is that not correct? That was some of the wisdom that you shared.
Yeah, man. You got to get everything in writing, man, because some of these motherfuckers will try to pull a high spot. No, I never said that. That never happened.
Yes.
Because they're trying to work every angle to get as much money as possible, which again, I understand. But if you don't have the Carfax to show that that's not what the agreement was, then you kind of like put yourself in a corner or paint yourself in a corner. So that's why you always communicate via email or text message to show them the proof that I was drunk. Well, that's not my problem. Or I wasn't thinking straight. That's not my problem. You're a businessman. You've been in the business quite a long time to understand how to communicate, your paydays. So I'm sorry. This is how much you're getting paid. I don't give a fuck if you try to put some heat on me. Straight.
Well, you can see how WCW, some of the personalities there, and I don't think it was Russo. I don't think it was Bischoff. That ultimately it was a change in the organizational culture when the merger happened, where wrestling was this thing of disgrace amongst the Time Warner cadre, the executive. But you can also see how wrestlers being greedy killed the golden goose there. And for the sake of AEW, it's interesting that the cash apparently is unlimited. If they're getting, what was the one contract? Monet was paid $13 million or something like. I mean, if some sucker is going to pay you that, then fine. But the flip side to that argument is, my goodness, these companies, when they go away, and you know how hard it is to. There's only so many major stable companies that you can make a living at. It's unfortunate that personal greed sometimes eclipses business for the long term.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. If a promoter is willing to pay that amount of money, then absolutely, a wrestler has all the rights to work some angles to get that cash. But Monet, like I said, is she worth $13 million? Hell fucking no. But she worked the angle, and Tony Khan thought she was worth it, and now he has it on paper. And regardless if he doesn't use her or not, she's making $13 million. So who's the sucker? Who's the smart one? And I hate saying that Tony Khan's a sucker, but guys work him. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just they really work him, and he just accepts it at face value, and it is what it is.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But again, Sullivan, for all those shenanigans there that added to his fee enormously. I wasn't. He was a very easy guy to talk to, very respectful, beloved backstage. He was giving time to all the younger talent backstage and talking to them, and of course helped us out with the creative there. So on a whole, what a positive experience for me, and a memory that I won't soon forget. Again, one of an increasingly rare breed that are gone. That once we lose that link to, in my opinion, the past when the business was better and it was pro wrestling. Once they're gone, they're gone. And thank God we've got mediums like YouTube and other shoot interviews, of which this channel has done such a great job preserving wrestling history for a long time now. Thank God that this material still exists, unlike in the past when there isn't even footage of some of the greats that we still talk about historically. So rest in peace, Kevin Sullivan, Taskmaster, Games Master. I'm sure this will be, much like Terry Funk, who we lost recently or last year. He'll be a guy that is spoken of for many, many years to come. Richie is asking about the title in the background, and that is the former Hardcore Road Trip Heavyweight Championship, but now it is the Great North Wrestling Hardcore Championship, and I am holding it on behalf of the Kingpin, who is a charter member now of the Big Money Players. And in terms of Great North Wrestling, we're looking at some pretty exciting developments and changes. Stay tuned to the HannibalTV.com. We've got some meetings coming up that will lay the groundwork, hopefully, for a new business model. Yes, touring is great, but I think what we need is a home base. And we potentially have one of those where we could run our shows and have a lot less of the headaches in terms of fans that don't realize it's very difficult to set up a show, take it down, and that if there's any way to cut down on that so you have more of a stable infrastructure, then that's the way to go. So we're going to have some exciting news about that in the future, and of course you're going to see a lot of the Big Money Players, which is of course the Kingpin. And let's not forget the prodigy Nathan Banner, that monster that came in and took care of Rene Dupree. He was, as we said last show, left lying looking up at the light. So fans, the best way to stay on top of not only all the wonderful content that we have in terms of interviews and specials on the Hannibal TV, but also Great North Wrestling moving forward, is to subscribe to the HannibalTV.com. We're closing in on 400,000 subscribers. And I don't know if you've noticed recently, Kingpin, but my God, has Hannibal been on a tear putting forward those interviews. He very, very successful interview with Kimberly Page.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was
awesome.
Really good. But you know what stood out to me? Motherfucker never interviewed me.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, we did a show together, the three of us.
No, we didn't.
Hardcore. I'm Bleeding.
You did?
Yeah, I'm Bleeding in Wrestling. Don't you remember that?
Never mind. I got CTE.
The CTE. There you go.
I don't remember it. So I was like, he never interviewed me. He's like, well, you're not Jack.
I'm sure that will happen in the future, but
I'm just fucking around, man. Just putting some color on the show. But yeah, I don't remember. But you know me, I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. Yesterday, I was like, I ate, and then later I was like, what the fuck did I eat? So I don't know.
It's a job related hazard, is it not? But we're looking forward to a number of interviews coming up, big interviews that we're working on. It's the summer, so folks are a little busy, a little slow to respond. But come the fall, we're going to kick up back into high gear on a number of areas. But fans, check out that Kimberly Page interview. He did a great one with one of my personal favorites, Greg the Hammer Valentine, and he did another one with Marty Jannetty. Yeah, that always is entertaining.
Hey, did he ever lose his foot? I mean, I saw a documentary that he had like some issues with his foot because he broke it a long time ago and is all swollen. But I heard that it was supposed to be like maybe amputated, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm not sure. I did hear that as well after years of ankle problems. That apparently was on the table. Not entirely sure. I didn't unfortunately catch the last interview with Janetti, but I intend to because
And the,
man, is he entertaining.
and the only reason I asked because I think it was on the dark side of the ring and he was coming down the stairs and I saw his foot and I'm like, God damn, his foot was all
Yeah.
fucked up. So that's why I think it was mentioned on the show about possible. He had some issues with that foot, and then I heard the rumor about possible amputation. So I was like, man, So
Well, let's hope that whatever medical issues that he has, he's alleviated and can be out there in terms of the convention scene and signing autographs and meeting with the people, because he certainly is, from what everybody's told me, he's a very affable individual when you meet him in person and loves his fans.
Oh yeah, man. The guy, I only met him once, and he seems like a great guy. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit out there, but nothing too crazy. It's not compared to other people that I bumped into in my career. So, I just think like I said, Marty Jannetty is a good dude as far as I know him. I mean, I don't know him behind the scenes, or personally, but he's a good dude. First impressions always start off right.
Well, Kingpin, I think we've come to the end of another show dedicated to remembering Kevin Sullivan in our own way. If fans are interested in addition to Dave Meltzer and no doubt the voluminous diatribe that he will put out in the Observer this week, John Pollock of Post Wrestling, a fellow Canadian and just a long-standing great combat sports pro wrestling journalist, did a really nice synopsis of his career. That's out there to check out, and of course he'll live on forever in YouTube. And I would say for my favorite incarnation of him, it would be that Varsity Club run with Rotundo and Steiner. That was
that was classic. I think didn't he do it with Dr. Def Steve Williams and
Ivy for a bit.
Yeah, but was it the Varsity Club, right? Well, who was first?
It was Steiner and
Rotunda, and then it was
Spivey and Dr. Death. When Steiner turned babyface and started talking to his hand and stuff, that was some good stuff. But generally speaking, what a great angle. And apparently that came out of the fact that when he moved from Florida to Crockett and on TBS, they didn't want him to do the devil worship deal or the quasi devil worship deal. So his love of legit sports spawned that coach character. So again, for all that he contributed, the man is a legend and will be remembered as such, and a small price to pay for me to have him involved in Great North Wrestling.
I agree.
Final thoughts to you, Kingpin.
My final thoughts, man. Like I said, Kevin Sullivan had an extraordinary career. He, made an impact in the business to a lot of young athletes who are now older athletes. The guy will always be remembered as an innovator in this profession. I feel bad that he passed. It's just so sad that your stars, your heroes that you idolize when you're a kid, little by little are just diminishing. And so you only have a few left, to like, oh, he's still around. So when you go to those conventions, show them your appreciation, tell them thank you, because you don't know when the next time you're going to see them. I'm not saying they're going to die today or tomorrow, but you never know. So enjoy the time you have with these great athletes and express your appreciation to them, because it means a lot to them that there's fans out there that appreciate their work.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more or say it better. So fans, that's it for this edition of the Shooting from the Hip podcast. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, and there's none, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the Hannibal TV. Again, closing in on 400,000 subscribers and many good things to come. Until then, I'm Jack Kilby with Nana and the Kingpin. Catch you later.